Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. I have been married for more than 10 years to my wife, Ellen. I gave her my heart the minute I saw her. She was everything I could ask for, and she reciprocated my love for a couple of years, which I thought was unconditional. But she proved me wrong when I got into financial problems and wasn't able to provide for her and my in-laws. That's when our marriage started going downhill. I still didn't want to lose her, so I stood back up and started working from scratch. However, this time around, it was a lot harder and took more time to reach a stable position. Although I came across situations where I just wanted to surrender to the circumstances and call it quits, I still held strong and achieved my goals. Over the years, my financial status didn't make my wife all that happy. She still complained and always asked for more. I've been covering for her along with her family's expenses since one day, in an accident, her dad lost his leg and wasn't able to work anymore, leaving her family starving. My emphatic instinct didn't allow me to pass by it and move on, so I decided to support them. I have delivered their monthly allowance on time. Also, I'm always checking up on them in case they needed something. But every time I call, I get a new demand. I don't mind it because I can afford to fulfill their little wants since they don't put a dent on my life or finances. As time passed by, I gave them access to my bank account, and they were able to take out whatever amount they wanted according to their expenses since it was convenient for both the parties. But that power was soon misused when I noticed that additional funds were transferred from my bank account. However, I didn't make a fuss about it with either my wife or her family because I thought maybe they just needed the money. I wanted to save them the embarrassment to confront them about money matters, considering the fact that her father was disabled and I was human enough to respect his dignity. The fact that I was keeping my wife and daughter close to me, regardless of the price I was paying to their family, was good enough for me. I was thankful to have a family I can come home to. My daughter was growing up fast, and I had the responsibility to provide her a good future. I had money issues with the family, but I had to figure out a way to save up for her college tuition. Hence, I decided to keep it a secret from my wife and do it all on my own. I had to move one step at a time, so when she grew up and wanted me to hold her hand and take her forward, I was there financially and physically. So, one morning, I was at work when I received a call from an unknown number. I hesitantly picked up the phone. Someone on the other side of the line spoke. "Hello, Mr. Michael. I'm John, speaking from the FBI headquarters. I'm calling you in regards to the fund transfer of $21,000 on your end. I want to confirm the purpose of the withdrawal." I didn't really know what he was talking about, so I asked him to reschedule the call later until I could confirm with my family. I immediately signed into my online banking platform and confirmed the statement. Someone really did withdraw the money from my bank account. I didn't know exactly who it was, but I didn't have many suspects either. It could either be my wife or her father. But what I couldn't understand was how they even knew that I had that amount of money in my bank account. I took the day off and rushed home to confront my wife about the situation. I couldn't let someone step over the boundaries and ruin my daughter's future. I came home and my wife was resting on the couch. When she noticed me, confusion and panic took over her. She said, "Hi, honey. Why are you home so early?" I was fuming with anger, but I refrained from letting my emotions of frustration get in the way. I wanted to handle this calmly, like an adult. I asked her about the money, and she came closer to me. She told me in the sweetest voice I ever heard, "Dad borrowed that money because he wanted a new car. He'll give you the money back as soon as possible. It's not a big deal." That was the limit of my patience, and I got aggressive. I pushed everything down the office table and started breaking things. I couldn't think straight, and I just wanted to kill that old man. I growled at my wife, "How dare you take my daughter's money? I gave you everything. I never let you down, and all you wanted was money." I will put you and your father behind bars this time. She tried to calm me down so things don't get out of hand, but I was done with everything. Then I left the house because even though I was disappointed in my wife, I didn't want to hurt her. I drove to the beach and sat at the seashore. I considered my options before making a move. I thought about all the times I cut down on my necessities to provide for my wife's luxuries. I didn't let her family starve just because I loved her and couldn't see her in pain. I did everything, and it all came crashing down now. While I was sitting at the beach all alone, mourning over my loss, my phone rang, and it was the same number as the one in the morning. I immediately picked up the call since I've made up my mind already. I spoke in the phone. I didn't approve the funds that were being withdrawn earlier this morning. Therefore, I would like to press charges against this person for theft. Even though I was getting mixed feelings about it, I still wanted to do what was right, and so I did. I didn't go home that night because I couldn't tolerate staying under the same roof as that woman. I've been manipulated and used by her, and now I refuse to let emotions get in the way. I slept in the car and was awakened by a phone call. It was my wife pleading to take the charges back, but that was not happening. So I put the phone down and drove back home. I went straight into my daughter's bedroom and saw her sleeping. I kissed her on her forehead and pledged that I'll not let anyone do injustice with my daughter. I was quite tempted to throw my wife out of the house that day, but my daughter wanted a mother, and hence I couldn't do it to her. Rather, I took back the privileges I gave to Ellen and decided to stay in this marriage only for the sake of co-parenting. My wife didn't take the consequences of her actions well and went into depression. She didn't care about herself, the house, or our daughter. She would just sit on the couch all day, lost in her thoughts. She wouldn't eat or clean herself either. I think she was feeling remorse since she was equally responsible for the theft, but her father alone was held accountable. I settled on giving her some time and bringing her so she can take care of our child and give her the love and attention she deserves. This is the happiest day of my life, since today, my daughter will be graduating from college. I succeeded in giving her everything a daughter expects from her father. As she walked her way through the stage to collect her diploma, my vision blurred with tears. She made it. We made it. After the ceremony, she came running to me and said, "Thanks for sticking with me, Dad." I patted myself on the back in my mind for taking the right decision at the right time, which really paid off. This is one heck of a terrifying story. Your wife and her father are sure a-holes because they were literally behind your money from the get-go. Such people should suffer all their lives. I'm glad you survived that terrible time of your life and took the right decision at the right time before it was too late. You're not the a-hole for pressing charges against the father either. He deserved every bit of it. But what I'm really surprised about is the fact that your wife is prioritizing her husband over her family. If I was you, I would have left that woman and started a beautiful life with someone who loved me for me, and not for the money. Thanks for your concern. It was a hard time for me, but I had my daughter to hold on to, which kept me going forward in life. If it wasn't for her, I would have tolerated every injustice and unjustness that they would have thrown at me, but I had to put a stop to it for my child, and I'm glad that I did. I respect your opinion of leaving my spouse, but I had no other option than staying with her, since my daughter needed her mother, and I couldn't be so selfish to take it away from her. Why did your wife not give herself to the police and confess her crime, rather than just repent her sins all by herself? It just doesn't make sense to me. My heart goes out to the little girl who has to go through so much just because her mother is a gold digger and prioritizes her wishes and luxuries over her family. It is such a pity. Also, I feel like you deserve better than her. Not many people are fortunate enough to regard and reciprocate true love. My heart aches for you. That is one greedy father who uses his daughter to make his life easier and slack around. He should have rotted in prison for longer, actually. Besides, I respect the fact that you decided to live with your wife for the sake of your daughter, but in my opinion, it would have affected your child in negative ways as well, and might have messed her mind up, since she's purely toxic and a complete a-hole. I had a similar experience with a toxic person once, and I still can't get over it after so many years. She played me and manipulated me into doing things I never would have willingly done. That left a scar on my soul and mind, and it refuses to go away. I can't seem to forgive myself for believing her with my life. Next story. Me, 26F, and my significant other, 32M, have been together for 5 years, and he has 2 children with his ex, Anna, 31F. They have Leo, 8M, and Leah, 14F, together. My significant other and I decided to wait until we were dating for 1 year for me to meet his children. We met up for lunch at a local restaurant, and while Leo liked me, Leah didn't speak a word. I assumed she was not ready to warm up to me just yet. After that, we scaled back to brief video calls where she wouldn't say anything. This went on for another 6 months, then my significant other and I moved in together. Leo came every other week for visits for the first month. Leah never came. She told my significant other she didn't want to be around me, so she wasn't going to come for visitation. So, my significant other did a visitation at his sister's house. This worked out okay. It was just awkward because his sister lives 5 minutes away from our old apartment, and the kids live 20 minutes away from us. So it was a lot of driving back and forth. This has been the arrangement for years. This entire time, I've been inviting Leah out, through my significant other, with us to get to know her better. We go out at least 4 to 5 times per month and do various activities. Go to parks, museums, zoo, malls, go-karts, restaurants, everything. Leo tags along sometimes, but Leah has never come. 1st of March, I closed on my dream apartment. 3 beds, 2.5 bathrooms, a study, a huge balcony, and it's gorgeous. We've moved in, and I'm so excited to start making our home here. I posted a video on social media, and Anna saw it. Anna blew up my significant other's phone, asking him when he was going to tell Leah that he moved. He did tell Leah. She said, "Oh, okay." After Leah saw our new home, she asked my significant other when she would be able to come over and decorate her new room. I told him under no circumstances will Leah be allowed into her new room until she agrees to meet us outside for an outing. I love her because she's my partner's daughter, but I don't know her. I've only ever heard her voice in videos she posts to social media. She has never spoken a word to me. My significant other is incredibly sad because he just wants his daughter to visit him again, but he agrees with me. Anna and Leah obviously disagree, and so do my in-laws. Am I the a-hole? Everyone sucks here. For the past 5 years, everybody has agreed to let a child, she was 9 at the beginning, decide if, when, and where she wanted to see her father. Also, if you bought that apartment with your significant other, his daughter has every right to come whenever she wants, as it is also her home. The adults need to do better by that child. I actually agree with this. My significant other has allowed the situation to drag out for 4 years, and it's unfair to all of us. He allowed a child to dictate the terms of their relationship. 4 years of family events where he had to exclude me because she wouldn't come if I was there. 4 years of family events where he had to exclude me because she wouldn't come if I was there. 4 years of living a double life to keep us separated. I purchased the apartment with my own money. I made sure to include a private bedroom for her when she was ready to come around. I'm assuming she's ready now, but she's saying she absolutely does not want to go out for dinner or an activity. She just wants to decorate and start coming over. Next story. I, F33, very recently started working as a waitress. I am a high school dropout, and my husband, M30, used to be the sole provider. The reason I got a job was because I had to. My husband was against it, but I had to be able to get things I want without feeling guilty using my husband's money, since he has debts. When I started working, he had an attitude and kept making remarks about it. Last Friday, we had guests over, and I served them coffee. My husband wanted iced tea, so I went to make it. I gave him his drink, then went to sit with the guests. After he got done, he started shaking the glass with the ice, making a loud sound inside of it. He looked at me, said he needed more, and told me to refill it. I got up and went to the kitchen to refill. I then came back, gave the glass to him, and then sat back down. Again, after he got done, he told me to go refill his glass. I was getting heated, but I just took it to the kitchen to refill it. I came back, gave it to him, and sat back down. Minutes later, he started shaking it, telling me to refill it again. I got upset and asked him, why should I? And he said that it's technically my job. I was appalled. I told him he was out of line to treat me as a servant, and he needed to knock it off. He basically responded with, you have no problem serving strangers. You shouldn't have a problem serving me then. Then he gave me examples of how, if I'm a masseuse, I'm expected to give him massages. If I'm a cook, then I'm expected to cook for him. I said, since you work in a car dealership, then are you expected to get me a car? He said it's not the same, but I argued that those strangers pay me to do what I do. He clapped back with the, I pay to keep a roof over your head statement. I couldn't take it anymore. I got up, walked up to him, took the glass out of his hand while he was smirking like he went up to me, and walked straight to the trash can and dumped it there. Then I casually walked past him and sat down. He was staring the entire time, not believing what I just did. The guests sensed the tension in the room and said they had to leave. The argument ensued and he went off on me, saying that I was being passive-aggressive and disrespectful. I told him I've had it with him mocking my job, that I got just to lighten his burden and help him with the debts. He said he wasn't mocking it and that I was being melodramatic, getting offended over nothing. He ranted about how humiliating and disrespectful my behavior was when I dumped the glass in the trash can, and told me I made him look bad in front of our guests and should fix it in front of them, maybe hinting that I should apologize publicly. But I said I won't be doing this and he shouldn't hold his breath. He took offense to the statement and called me childish and petty. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your husband was being an emotionally abusive a-hole. Hard stop. This event is reason enough to divorce him. He has zero respect for you. It might help to take this quiz from loveisrespect.org. If you really think I am being too dramatic, your other option is to call him out on his nonsense. Tell him point blank that he was being controlling and abusive, exhibiting classic signs of toxic masculinity. Do all of this very calmly. However he reacts, don't yell. Then tell him that if he expects his marriage to continue, he needs to get therapy and that the two of you need to go to couples counseling. Some things to be aware of. That last bit is bad advice. You should never go to couples counseling with an abuser. Why? Because they will try to manipulate the counselor and the situation to turn it all against you and make your life even worse. You are better off accepting that your husband is an abusive person and leave him. Or at least give him the ultimatum that if he ever pulls this again, you will leave him.